a new department. It will be a contract that provides services jointly for the school and town buildings. When I say school and town buildings, I'm also including grounds as well.
Okay.
One company will do all of those?
They will.
Wow.
There will be no additional administrative costs, and the contract could be managed by the town administrator.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it can't. I see it more of a joint management, administration, because there's got to be a lot of cooperation here. Obviously, the school has the biggest part in this endeavor. Will there be any support staff to assist with this new department, and if so, what costs have been identified and planned for? Since it's just a single contract, the contract can be administered by existing staff. Is the intention of this proposal to privatize custodial / maintenance and ground services, or does the plan include using our current custodial maintenance staff? It's the intention of the contract is the intention to contract out the custodial maintenance and ground service. The selected service provider would be required to offer a similar position to the existing school staff.
Okay.
That's generally how any privatized, if you want to use that word, contracts work in the public sector. It's fair, fairer, and I mean there's no guarantees, but they have to offer them the job. They don't have to take it, but you know, and they'll go through their regular selection process. They have to meet their standards, and once hired, they have to maintain the set standards of the committee, of the contractor.
Do they have to offer them a similar pay scale? How does that work?
No.
Just have to offer them,
Has to be
maybe
a
consider them for a position.
A similar position, whatever their standard going rate is.
Yeah.
No, because one of the things I noticed, sorry,
No, go ahead.
like they work, I'm gonna guess like around, and I should know this, but I don't recall it, around 8 hours a shift, somewhere around there.
Our current guys?
The current
That's
guys.
correct.
When I looked, and I don't have it with me, when I looked at the sheet, it looked like they were working like 4-hour shifts.
It's on the back here, Ann.
Sorry, so, no, there was the other, yeah, so.
But I think he's
like,
adjusted it.
Yeah, so if I have like would they offer them, someone that works an 8-hour shift now, would they offer them a 4-hour shift?
We haven't delved that deeply into it.
Okay.
And Terry, you can jump in here, because Terry and I have been talking to the same folks at the same time. It would make sense to me as if they were using people in multiple locations. But I don't know
Okay,
that for
all
a
right.
fact.
That was just something that,
And I think that's part of what you end up putting in your RFP and negotiating with the final contractor.
okay.
There are, I think, built into this now, and this has changed from the original proposal, I believe there are 4 8-hour positions.
At the high school.
No, actually, you have one
But
at
they're all,
Curley,
yeah.
one at Pembroke, one at the middle high school.
What's the porter? What is the porter?
A porter is, we talked about that. Porter is essentially what our head custodians are now. They sort of do a little bit of everything,
Okay,
but they're the day position,
okay.
okay? And I think when we talked through it, they would cover the cafeteria, they would unload trucks if they needed to be unloaded, change light bulbs, you know, do some cleaning. It basically, I think, at least from my standpoint, I was pretty much convinced that was the same as our head custodians'
Okay.
roles are basically now.
And working super is, so you got porter, working super, and cleaners. So what's the definition of a work,
I wonder if you got that.
I think
That was
we,
one of our
I think,
questions,
yeah,
so
I
we're
think that was a
probably-
question we had in
I
there.
think, yeah.
Yeah, we can just,
All right, we'll go on. Okay, same benefit package?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, no. One of the contractors we talked to, of course, we're going to have to bid this out. So all this conversation we're having with them, just giving us ideas, so we know what's out there and what's available, what is doable. And as Terry said, we'll have to get together and put all this in the RFP and then develop it into a contract. So we get to design the program. But we wanted to know what the limits are and what the options are. So I think we have a pretty good idea. The options are very broad and wide.
That's good, because I know that we had talked about a little bit how when there's a situation and we need to pull people from one school, like we have had in the past, like pull custodians out of the high school to work on a flood at Pearlie.
Yep.
As long as they have that flexibility to be moved.
And we'll get to that, but there's a lot of flexibility.
Okay.
Whitman Hanson just put out an RFP. They're doing something similar. And it was about 75 pages long, I think,
Yes.
by the time it was done.
Yes.
But the level of specificity of the types of tasks that they do was pretty broad, but pretty far-reaching. I mean, I was surprised that there were as many details to it, you know.
Do
I
we
mean,
know
I
what
would
they
think you'd have to
paid?
come up with a lot of scenarios if you're in
They're
school.
going out to bid now.
They're going out to bid now.
Their RFP is actually on the street right now.
I was surprised actually at how well they defined what the tasks were, and they really kind of, in some ways, I think they went beyond kind of what some of our current
It's-
expectations
yes,
are.
Yes,
Okay.
they did.
Most of these contracts, they bid them out on the square footage.
Right.
It's formulaic. They know what their standards are, and actually, you can adjust the standards. You can, have light cleaning, heavy cleaning, super heavy cleaning, but you
Pay
pay
different,
for
yeah.
the standard that you want, but they'll meet that. I mean, they even go so far as they know how many square feet an individual should be able to clean in one shift. And if the individual doesn't meet that standard, they get somebody that can.
Do they bring in their own vacuums and brooms and?
We're probably getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh, sorry.
But
Okay, moving on.
They do,
they do, on the custodial side.
yeah. In the schools now, we have three categories: custodial, maintenance, and ground staff. In the $729,000 proposal, are these areas covered? Yes.
Okay.
Originally, I didn't know if, the grounds was doable, because they were, I'm learning as we go along too. But we talked with them and met with them, and they came back with a grounds component and a very strong maintenance component, even stronger than we originally anticipated, which we'll talk about that too. Looks like the initial proposal covers mostly cleaning and some preventive maintenance. Who will handle the fields, grounds, and does the proposal include labor, equipment, and supplies? As I said, it covers all three areas. On the custodial and cleaning side, they provide all supplies and equipment, with one exception, with two exceptions: paper and plastic. That would be up to that would be up to us to provide that. That's on the inside. On the outside, it's just the opposite. They provide the labor. We have to provide all the equipment, supplies, everything that goes on, and tools. So it's there is some ongoing costs there. How are you defining preventive maintenance? Has there been a survey done of the recurring maintenance issues and the already identified needs, and has the information been factored in? Please provide a breakdown of what the estimates include. The preventive maintenance would cover all the mechanical systems in the building and would include regularly scheduled, and right now we're talking about quarterly preventive maintenance. It can be adjusted downward if we only need it 3 times a year, twice a year, but this is the most expensive it's going to be. It's quarterly, and it provides, just regular inspections, changing filters, belts, fluids, things like that. In addition, and this just came up since Terry and I talked with him the other day, because we told them we need some skilled type of maintenance. So we're not, right now, every department in town has their own, a different electrician and a different person that comes and maintains the boilers. And there's, so this would be a one-stop shop. They will provide us with skilled tradesmen, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, and it's a one-time, it's included in the overall fee. And on top of that, for the non-capital, we have to define this in the contract, but things like if a motor in a blower fails, or some part needs to be replaced, they will provide the person that can do it with the proper license, and they'll include that part and supplies and labor. It's all in the cost. There's no additional hourly charges for this.
And the parts included too?
Parts included.
But things like our required, like asbestos, won't be included, these kind of.
And any of your annual, like, for example, we have to get our elevators inspected annually. There's, I think, 6 elevators total in the town. That's something that would need to be budgeted separately. As an example, fire extinguishers, alarms.
Okay.
Those are the regular, as I think Mike referred to them, the statutory or
Yep.
insurance-required inspections.
I think Ann's asking about the actual, remember we put in the budget like $15,000 for an asbestos
For
inspection that
asbestos.
we were required to do because we aren't really up to date with it.
Right.
So
That won't be
I
included.
know that money all kind of thrown into the pool, right? So I think that her question is would that be provided for in this?
Well, it
No, it won't be.
Well,
it
could
might be
That's
and
what-
could be, because, jumping right to the very back end, you
I
see
see what you're thinking.
the costs, the total janitorial and grounds is that one figure, 554,000. Preventive maintenance of all the things I just mentioned is 142,792. That leaves $32,385 unbudgeted, which,
Because that would need to be a priority, because we really have to do it, and
Yeah.
we're beyond the,
Well, that might cover the insurance inspections, probably won't cover the asbestos. But one of the things we do need to keep in mind is the asbestos also isn't something you're gonna have every year.
no,
You have that every
3.
3 years.
Right.
right.
Do these buildings have that too?
Asbestos.
Public service, public safety buildings, this building, any building?
No.
The
You have to
public
do
involved, the
Asbestos
library?
Inspection.
we don't do asbestos inspections.
Do you have?
Schools are required
I was
every
gonna say,
year,
it's probably required in school,
Yeah.
because we have children.
because we have children, right? So
I
We
would
just
bet.
do elevator and fire alarms.
Just a question, like when we're talking about, like if, some, changing belts and fluid and all that. What if one of our unit ventilators goes, which seems to be our thing that we go through all the time? Does that count?
No,
Okay.
but, and this.
Read if it did, would kind of sell
well,
the whole thing.
It would, because, I mean, it's,
I'm gonna break Terry's rule and
It's okay,
And-
you know you're breaking it.
yeah, and connect 2 different warrant articles. But there is a warrant article before town meeting for a energy management services contract, which you folks will be in the very near future learning a lot more about, or before town meeting, because you really
that's our
need.
next meeting.
Oh, well,
I think,
The 28th, yeah.
Yep.
yeah, I think we'd like to get it on under my agenda to talk to you about that.
Okay.
but what we plan in that contract, if approved, is redoing all the HVAC in all the schools, all the buildings that need it, all the control systems, and the ones that don't need replacing, they will